Okay, why do I suffer? I don't know why you suffer. People keep asking me this question and I don't know. Because you're a bad boy, a bad girl. You've been bad, that's why. So to me, all suffering arises from this very simple fact. This is like a meaning of life that I'm going to give you, is that there is a belief, or there is an attachment. So there is a person that arises that believes that freedom is found in the future, and that lack of freedom is found in the future, or the past actually. So it's that having a particular life, doing certain things, looking a certain way, eating certain foods, having money, not going to prison, all these types of things are freedom. And this is absolutely untrue. Freedom is without cause and without effect. And this is the human lie. Which is maybe more complex than I make it seem. But the human lie is that I am an imagined person in time. So they sit here and they imagine themselves as something, rather than there is simply sitting here happening. It's even more intimate than that. There is actually nothing happening, but there is this happening. And then the person makes up a story and says, I am somebody sitting here. And then that somebody has had traumas or aversions in the past, or difficulties in the past, or been taught lots of longings. And that somebody is attached to things in life and has aversion to things in life. And that person is constantly replaying a narrative of what it needs to be happy and what it doesn't need to be happy. It's not really conscious that it's doing that, but it is actually always like sorting through what's making it happy or unhappy. So blaming people, feeling guilty, obsessing about things, daydreaming about something better than what you have right now. It's not that intentions are wrong, and it's not that there isn't a natural desire and flow to the body, to these beings, but it's this belief that you are this person and that happiness is something that will come to you in time. This is the fundamental lie of society, and it creates so much neurosis and stress and discomfort, because so much pressure gets put on you to constantly perform, and you believe that it's all your responsibility to get happiness. And our society kind of unconsciously makes it difficult for us. Not that there really is an unconscious society, but in one way you could say there is. There's not really a figurehead of our society. It's like one organism, and this organism of humanity is making it really complicated for ourselves by putting so much pressure on what it is that you have to have a happy life. So there's no simple life anymore, but you don't even notice it. Like, you've got to have a car, you've got to have a home, you've got to have a partner, you've got to have a career, you've got to have kids, and you've got to have like a particular career. You got to have friends, you got to have family, and there's just not enough waking hours in the day to do all of this. So what our society does is it kind of exhausts its citizens. It sets up this premise that it's your responsibility to make happiness, and you've got to get all these things, which is a lot of things, and then you've got to maintain it. And so the person becomes like a workhorse trying to get to it, seeking. And then through that, it develops like a negative mentality, a mentality that's complaining and moaning a lot because it's not in its natural flow. It's not in its organic flow. It's doing all of these things through a story that it's telling itself that you have to do it. You're bad if you don't do it. That you'll hurt people if you don't do it. And there's not this positivity there, this openness, this expandedness, this other perspective. Because then the other perspective is that like attracts like. So if you're in like a really negative, dark space, then you're not attracted to light. In some ways you are, but in other ways, like you're attracting that negativity, you're going towards that negativity. So then it's like whatever story you're telling yourself, that's what you're kind of bringing about in your life. So you're kind of like this circle, but it's not a conscious thing. And it's not really someone doing it, it's a habit. So the reason that you suffer is because of this false belief that you are somebody that's existing separately inside the body and that you have to create happiness. And there's lots of ideas about what happiness is. And rather than just sinking into what's actually happening right here, right now, there is always this maintaining of time, of past and future and me. Me. And then through that, you get pains, you get traumas, which is natural in life. And then you make bigger stories about them than what they actually are. And you get attached to those. And then you create a lot of negative thinking. So on the surface level, you get lots of negative thinking. So for example, so say if you've been, as a child, traumatized by rejection from your parents or instability from your parents, then this is maybe something you're very afraid of, but you're not conscious of it. So therefore, your behaviors are always trying to control and navigate so that you don't have unstable relationships. And actually, more than likely, what it does is it brings unstable relationships, because maybe you become very neurotic, very controlling in a relationship, very avoidant in a relationship, and it brings lots of mentality, like blame on the other person, because there's no consciousness of what you're doing. So then maybe there is like hatred for other people, like why do I always create, why all men or all women are untrustworthy, or all humanity are untrustworthy, or humanity is evil, or maybe it's guilt, like why do I create this, like what's wrong with me? And it creates lots of neurotic thinking or stressful thinking or anxiety thinking. I think our society is riddled with anxiety, that this is going to happen, they're going to leave me, they're going to do that, they're untrustworthy, I can't trust them, all these types of things. So this is why you suffer. So then what is the way out of suffering? I don't know a direct path for people out of suffering, because it seems like everybody has a unique path. But what seems to happen is a crumbling of your ideas. So all these ideas that you have about what your life has to look like, what you have to look like, what your environment has to look like, what you have to have and not have. So there's a crumbling of your attachments to time, and then there's a questioning of the way that you think, even about yourself. And then also, I would suspect there is a slowing down. So normally people are like, gotta do, and they can never just sit. They've always got to be entertained by the computer, by others, by work. And so I would suggest there's also a lot more quiet time, a lot more choosing quietness over constant activity and introspective behavior, if I say that correctly. And all of that can be done in different ways. Like some people might meditate, some people might do yoga, some people might do qigong, some people might do 5 rhythms dancing, some people might do painting, art, writing, all these different things, reading, chanting, singing, in order to connect them back to this moment, to relax the system. Listening to non-duality is another thing. I forget what else to say. So whatever happens, if you're in a war zone, if your kid's taken away, if you have pain, if your partner dies, the freedom is always in what's happening. It's never in time. It's always in what's happening. And this is why we suffer. We're never taught this. We're always taught that time is our savior, and it becomes an impossible job to try to grab onto time. Time doesn't exist. It's something we made up, and we're all living by, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it cannot be your savior. Where you're dreaming about the future rather than being right here, right now, you will suffer. It doesn't mean that we don't use our mind to navigate the future, to navigate the past, to avoid particular experiences. However, it's not happiness, it's not freedom. Freedom is what is. And what is undescribable. Like when you really begin to go down that rabbit hole of what is happening here, what is happening here in this moment, it is undescribable. There seems to be experiencing, but we don't know what this experience is, who this experience is, where this experience is. It's experiencing. So we know that there's experiencing happening, but we don't know what that is. And we know when there is a deep examination of it, that this experiencing isn't located and isn't separate from that which is experiencing. So the hearing and the heard are the same. The seeing and the seen are the same. The feeling and the felt are the same. The smelling and the smelt are the same. They're the same movement. So right now you think, I hear Lisa's voice, but this is not true. That's only true in our timeline, in what we tell each other in communications. It's not true for this moment. What's actually happening? There is speaking happening, and we don't know who is speaking in this moment. We don't know where it comes from. It is here. Speaking is happening. And that is divine. That is divine. That is God speaking to itself. And it's appearing. We don't even know how or why it's appearing. It just is. And the freedom is in it, not out of it. The mind is always looking, how do I get out of this? And it's in it. It's in what's happening. Bam, ba-dum, ba-dum. My mother sent my partner England cups. I thought they're very cute. It's of the Big Ben there, and then you see the River Thames and the London Eye. She likes to send him English things because he's not English, which is very sweet. It's so cute, the details in life. This is it. Your freedom is here. Always trying to get somewhere. Where are you trying to get to? This is it. Bum on seat. Sounds happening. Sight happening for no one, or for mystery. We don't know what it's happening for. We don't know who it's happening to. The person is always concerned about itself, like, what do I look like, or what's happening, or what do other people think, or what's going to happen to me. But we don't even know what this me is. It's something that's appearing with the body and coming and going. And this me is very concerned about its environment and what's going to happen in the future. And then there's an obsession that that's who you are, and this neurosis that's holding on. Whereas right now, right here, there is emptiness experiencing. No thing experiencing. Nothing experiencing. And the experience isn't separate from that no-thingness. So you could say it's the empty fullness, or no-thing everythingness. And we can talk about consciousness and I amness, but I kind of see consciousness as the empty looking and the I amness as the everything. But they're one and the same thing. Like, I used to just say amness, but now I don't mind saying I amness, but it's absolutely impersonal. It's that sense of being. This is. Like, we're not dead. Like, we're not dead matter. This is. There is this experience of being, but it's nobody's experience.